Welcome to this official presentation of Eima International 2024. Just some housekeeping for the journalists in attendance. You can send your questions, if any, for myself and the FederUnacoma president to our email address, and at the end of the press conference we'll try and answer your questions, and the incoming questions in the future days will be answered at a later stage. Before the Eima International, we always provide an overview of the international market related to our industry. This analysis will be provided by the President of FederUnacoma, Mariateresa Maschio. Over to you. Thank you, Simona. Good afternoon, everyone. Eima International is an extremely important event from a promotional and commercial point of view. It is the preferred trade show chosen by manufacturers from all over the world, from large global brands to highly specialized niche companies, to present their portfolio and the new products. The event showcases the cutting-edge technologies that rewards research and new solutions developed by companies, that strengthens the bond between manufacturers and their customers with marketing and communication initiatives. Eima International is more than just a formidable marketing machine. It is the place where people understand that agricultural mechanization is a key sector for agriculture and the environment, a sector of excellence in mechanics and applied electronics, a strategic player in the destiny of our planet. There's no place in the world that doesn't need agricultural machinery and equipment to farm the land and manage the environment and the soil. There's no place in the world that doesn't need new technologies to boost productivity and at the same time preserve natural resources. Every country in Europe, in the Americas, Asia, Africa and Oceania is confronted with the need to meet a growing demand for food in quantity and quality, and at the same time with the pressing need to reduce the use of fertilizers and pesticides, drastically reduce water consumption, preserve biodiversity and improve the quality of life in rural communities. This can only be achieved through modern agricultural mechanization. Let's start from some important figures. We carried out an analysis of figures for tractors from 2015 to 2022, and we can see a substantial and important increase. The United States went from 205,000 tractors in 2015 to 271,000 in 2022. India went from 484,000 tractors to 912,000. Western Europe from 171,000 to 196,000. Japan from 20,000 to 34,000. Canada from 24,000 to 31,000. And Russia from 22 to 35,000. And all the leading markets have reached high levels, with China expected to exceed 400,000 units and Turkey over 60,000. In the 8 years considered, the total number of tractors registered worldwide rose from just over 1.9 million to almost 2.5 million. Even during the dramatic phase of the pandemic, with the temporary production shutdown in all major countries, difficulties in transport and logistics, and general economic uncertainty heavily affected almost all manufacturing sectors, the agricultural machinery industry showed good resilience. In 2022, world trade in tractors reached a value of 29 billion euros, a 35% increase compared to the previous year, with an increase in trade flows by 4.7%. As far as the other types of machinery are concerned, worldwide reached a value of more than 70 billion euro in 2022, with an annual growth rate of 5.6% on average over the period 2009-2022. On the other hand, all sectors, and of course our own sector as well, do not evolve in a linear manner. And while within a positive trend in the medium to long term, it is affected by the specific circumstances that may occur. But we're still faced with very high demand. Figures currently available up until the end of November indicate a drop in sales in the United States by 8.4%, in Canada by 10.4%, and China 21%. But a substantial stability on the Indian market, while on the European market, a drop by approximately 5% was recorded, with different trends from country to country. Positive market in France, plus 3%, a stationary situation in Germany and in Great Britain, plus 2%, with Spain minus 15%, and Italy with a double-digit loss. As regards registration data processed by FederUnacoma on the basis of registrations provided by the Ministry of Infrastructures and Transport, in 2023 there was a 12.9% drop for tractors, and negative trends also for telehandlers, minus 3.4%, and agricultural trailers, minus 8.1%. Positive results for combined harvester registrations, with plus 10%, which refers to rather low numbers and therefore subject to greater fluctuations. In our federation's analysis, the decline in sales stems from the bad economic situation and the physiological downturn after the post-pandemic period. Which has certainly had a considerable impact. But in 2022 we had a considerable increase, and that of course driven by funds made available. For instance, in Italy, in the framework of the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, we have some funds coming from that plan. The INAIL's IC call for tenders, the Sabatini law, the rural development programs, and the second installment of the Innovation Fund, and Transition 5.0, which also includes the Industry 4.0 plan on which the Federation is working. On the global scenario, the factors that have the strongest impact on the agricultural machinery market are related to economic uncertainty, determined to a large extent by the war between Russia and Ukraine, and the resulting blacklists and trade sanctions, now made worse by the new conflict in the Middle East. But inflation is playing a decisive role, which has led, especially in Europe, to a significant increase in production costs and thus in the final price of machinery. And above all, the rise, it's an important factor which has created additional uncertainty in agricultural machinery sector, is the rise in interest rates implemented primarily by the European and US central banks. Nevertheless, we work in a lucky sector, so medium to long-term trends remain positive. According to FAO, over the next 9 years, i.e. by 2032, the use of land for agricultural purposes is set to increase by a total of 15%, and together with it, intensive farming, plus 6%. The UN agency's data indicate that agricultural yields will grow, especially in the regions of India, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East and the Pacific, which are expected to see the largest production increases over the next 9 years compared to 2020, with percentages ranging from 24% in the Indian subcontinent and sub-Saharan territories to 14% in the Asia-Pacific region. Double-digit figures are also expected for North Africa, plus 8%, and Latin America and the Caribbean, plus 12%, and 10% is expected in China. Europe and Central Asia, on the other hand, are expected to experience less marked incremental rates by around 7%. As regards expectations for 2024, the Business Climate Index released by Agri-Evolution, the alliance of associations representing agricultural machinery manufacturers worldwide, set a range between 100 plus 100 and minus 100. In November 2023 stands at minus 12. In May it was plus 16, with peaks in Western Europe minus 43.5% and Japan minus 69%.
Per quanto riguarda invece come ultimo dato che preme
the last point I'd like to make, forecasts for the near future confirm the positive trend, with average annual increases equal to 6.3% until 2027 for tractors, according to export planning forecasts. And increases are expected by 6.3% for tractors and 5.9% for other types of machinery. The Eima International Exhibition will offer the opportunity to know and address all the key aspects of agricultural mechanization. It will provide technological answers to the great challenges of mechanization. There will be over 50,000 models of machinery and equipment for all types of agriculture, and over 150 conferences and meetings for in-depth technical and economic analysis. Will also necessarily challenge the political world. So the political scenario will be involved, and they will have a say when it comes to the future of agricultural mechanization. It will be precisely the availability of public funds in the most diverse agricultural context that will give the continuity to the process of mechanization and innovation in agriculture, stabilizing the market and overcoming possible setbacks determined by the many variables affecting agriculture and the agromechanical industry. All this will be voiced in the Great Agora of Eima, an event of international standing, hosting exhibitors from all over the world. It will be the place when technology, business and political strategies can be brought together with intelligence, the event that will make all participants protagonists of a great project, fully aware that they are working for progress and for the common good. And I will now give the floor to Simona Rapastella, the General Manager of FederUnacoma, and she is in charge of the upcoming Eima International. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's present the Eima International. Is an extremely professional event, an event that has become a reference point for economic operators, agricultural entrepreneurs, technicians and researchers working in the sector. As mentioned by our President, it is the event that the manufacturing companies have chosen as essential in the international exhibition scene, precisely to present all the new products and the most advanced concepts that are the result of research and that set the future trends of our industry. It's precisely the technical content of the event, also emphasized by the Technical Innovation Contest and the many showcases scheduled over the 5 days, that determines the extraordinary success with visitors. The popularity of Eima International in the media and its economic and political relevance. It is certainly worth remembering the record-breaking numbers of the past edition, 2022, which attracted around 330,000 visitors from 150 countries and over 1,550 exhibiting firms from 41 countries that covered the entire fairgrounds in the Bologna district, even animating the outdoors areas where the dynamic and demonstrative activities are located, in particular the ones dedicated to bioenergy chains, trials of gardening machinery, demos of drones and agricultural robots, and the Tractor of the Year finalist tractor show. And again, the 2022 edition hosted, among the 57,000 foreign visitors in attendance, over 400 official economic operators selected thanks to the precious collaboration with the Italian Institute for Foreign Trade, representing 80 countries. And they gave life to the tightly packed program of business-to-business meetings held throughout the exhibition. These are some of the highlights that have been confirmed for the 2024 edition of Eima that we're now going to scroll through together with the new features that we are now ready to disclose at the beginning of the year. Let's start with Eima's promotional campaign, an all-round innovation factory designed to offer technological answers to the great challenges of mechanization and agriculture. The ones that you can see on the screen. I'm talking about productivity, environmental sustainability, safety at work, digitalization and robotization of agromechanical operations, and those concerning technical and commercial cooperation, and the involvement of the so-called green generations that are called upon to play an increasingly important and strategic role in the agriculture of the future. The Innovation Factory is intended to represent all this, a place where all players in the agricultural and agro-industrial supply chains are present and contribute to defining increasingly efficient business models centered on cutting-edge mechanization. So, we'd like to envisage the best possible future for agriculture. The promotion of Eima will have a far-reaching and high-impact international scope and will start with today's press conference. This press conference is extremely important for us. It is significant from a journalistic point of view, but first and foremost, it has a symbolic value for us. This TV studio from which we are broadcasting from, it is in fact located inside the Bologna Fair district and represents an explicit invitation to come to the city, which is already preparing to welcome you, journalists, and the vast vast audience of operators. The conference will be broadcast live internationally, planned to reach journalists all over the world, and they will be information multipliers. They will play a very important role in informing and involving the target audience which the Bologna event is meant for. There are many of them: economic operators, agricultural entrepreneurs, contractors, technicians and maintenance workers, experts and researchers in the agronomic, mechanical and electronic fields, but also many young people looking at the exciting prospects offered by the industry, and people who are passionate about part-time agriculture and green care. For each audience category, Eima will offer efficient hospitality and logistics and a targeted service system. Starting this week, we'll take Eima all around the world with conferences and information initiatives. Events have already been scheduled in these countries that you can see on the screen. I'm talking about the ones that you can see: Great Britain, Qatar, Turkey, Greece, Morocco, Brazil, Serbia, Algeria, India, Canada, USA, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Argentina and Japan. So we're all over the world. And it is the specialization of Eima that really interests business operators from all countries. And it is precisely with this in mind that the selection activity has already been started of the official economic operators in cooperation with the Italian Trade Agency. So it's already underway. We're planning to host around 450 operators from 80 countries. There will be B2B meetings in a new area dedicated to official delegations. Moreover, FederUnacoma is developing internationalization initiatives, setting up an efficient hospitality system aimed at dealers and retailers, European international farmers' organizations and industry top managers. The figures are very promising and indicate that the 2024 edition will once again have an exhibition turnout among the highest in the show's industry. Close to 1,330 exhibitors have already sent their applications, 412 from abroad, and the countries that have shown most interest for Eima are Spain, Germany, Brazil, France, Greece, Turkey, China, India and South Korea. So the strong point of the exhibition will always be the division into specialized sectors covering every product category, from tractors to tillage equipment, from treatment machines to harvesting machines, from product transport systems to milking and livestock feeding systems. For some sectors, namely those that cover particularly circumscribed product types and address precise categories of users, dedicated shows will be created within the exhibition. In the current layout of Eima International, there are 5 thematic showcases, respectively dedicated to components: Eima Components, Gardening, Eima Green, Bioenergy, Eima Energy, Irrigation, Eima Hydrotech, and Robotic and Digital Technologies, Eima Digital. Among the curiosity we'd like to share with you today, and which demonstrate the strong interest in Eima, there's the waiting waiting list that's already open for some sectors, for example, irrigation, tillage machinery and components that have already almost covered entirely the space dedicated to that back in 2022. This is a matter of great pride for us, seeing so much interest on the part of our exhibitors. The Eima show will also be staged with dynamic outdoor areas. In fact, we can confirm the TOTI, the garden emotion, so the trials of gardening machines that will have a new focus compared to the past. The machines dedicated to bioenergy. But that's not all. In fact, from this edition, and this is absolutely new, we'll have the real area, robotics and electronic for agriculture live, an area that will feature the most advanced robotic technologies with a calendar of daily trials. Other outdoor areas located around the perimeter of the exhibition center will also host additional dynamic activities that we cannot disclose to you today, but that will certainly contribute to making Eima a formidable showcase of agricultural mechanics. Of course, the Technical Innovation Contest is back, an increasingly high-profile award with an international scope, in keeping with Eima's specialized features. In the wake of the success of the previous edition, the preview evening will be held on October 3rd, when the winners of innovations and mentions will be revealed in front of the entire national and international press. Technical innovations will not be the only contest at this edition. In fact, we're presenting another novelty in the form of a contest aimed at recognizing and rewarding those companies that, in the opinion of a jury of experts, will be able to create the best forms of social media promotion of the event. It is the Eima Social Award contest that will be able to describe more in detail later on in a special regulation. But Eima International also casts a spotlight on major economic and political issues involving agriculture and agricultural mechanics. No less than 150 events will take place over the 5 days of the exhibition, press conferences, conventions, and workshops, during which data and information will be shared and different political visions will be exchanged. And of course, the different strategies for agriculture will be discussed. A valuable contribution comes, as always, from the organizations, associations and publishers that choose Eima to present reports and proposals on agriculture and the environment. In agreement with them, the FederUnacoma organizers are already developing a program that will be presented in detail in the coming weeks, while some of the guiding themes have already been defined by the Federation and will be the subjects of international conferences and forums. These include an international forum on sustainable agriculture, a global project where details will be provided on European experiences of ecological transition and eco-friendly development programs, programs, an international conference on marginal areas and extreme territories, frontier agriculture, focusing on the need to acquire new farming areas or new farming land to meet growing food needs, on the methods for making such areas productive, an international conference on management of digital systems, big data and robotized fleets, focused on the evolution of the professional skills of agricultural mechanics operators and technicians with the new job profiles, a workshop on the bioenergy resource, market and prospects for biomass and renewable sources in the fuel sector, dedicated to measuring the contribution of bioenergies in responding to current needs, emerging economies, agricultural development models for the African continent based on a mapping of the areas of greatest agricultural interest and the types of mechanization most suited to local situations in Africa. Food consumption, the demand for fresh produce, mechanized supply chains aimed at interpreting new diets and lifestyles and consuming styles, consumption styles, with particular reference to fruit and vegetables. The conference program for Eima 2024 includes additional initiatives. We'll have the meeting of the Club of Bologna, made up, set up over 30 years ago by FederUnacoma, made up of mechanization experts from all over the world that are committed to describing the trends for the main types of vehicles, but also to highlighting the priorities, the political priorities for the dissemination of mechanization in the most diverse regions of the world. The program of conferences also includes initiatives on key topics for the different product areas represented at Eima, and in particular those of themes, showcases devoted to components, gardening, irrigation, digital and bioenergy supply chains. We have repeatedly stressed how Eima International is the product of a collective, efficient, passionate effort. This is our strength, Eima's strength, built on a strong tradition, but also on a powerful drive towards innovation. This is the appeal of an exhibition that is valuable, so valuable for business activities, but also very exciting from a cultural and human point of view, promoting relations for visitors. So we'd like Eima visitors to keep having a wonderful experience when they come to Eima. Let me show you once again another image of the campaign that clearly shows the specialization of Eima International and shows the way and all the different trajectories, inviting all of you to join us and enter the heart of Eima International. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for your support all the way to our next Eima International, the 46th edition. Thank you very much for your attention. We'd now like to ask the technicians to please show the questions that we have received. Well, I can't see the images, anything on the screen. There are no questions coming up. Well, we're live, so we're live, and you know, We have a little technical glitch. We're waiting for the technical team to please show the questions that have come in during the press conference. Let me repeat that we'll answer all questions in writing in the next few days in order to give everyone the opportunity to get an answer to their questions and to your curiosities. So we can see the questions. The first question is for our President. The pandemic and the military concepts have partly transformed the logistics and the transport system of agricultural machines. Even the market, is the market geography as well going to change? Yes, I think so. The pandemic, the Russian-Ukraine war, and the Middle Eastern conflict are certainly going to have an impact on our market geographies. Well, we expect to see a change in the United States and South America, except for Argentina, that is now going through a major political transition. And India as well is going to be another developing country, meaning that the market is set to grow considerably. And then, of course, the recent issue in the Suez Canal, and, you know, this will probably have an impact on market geography. Well, we should consider the global economic context with challenges and unexpected circumstances that have an impact on our industry. So my answer is yes, the market geography is going to change. The question for me, Eima International has been said to cover all product areas. Are there any prevailing product sectors that characterize the exhibition? Yes, of course. We have a specialization in different product areas. This has been very typical for Eima for many years. But in general, I can say that Eima is showing the importance of mechanization for high added value crops that are particularly important for our future. And I'm particularly talking about machines for fruit and vegetable orchards, vineyards, oil, so the olive oil production and systems for irrigation and, you know, plant protection systems. So all the specialization that is that's always been so important for Eima, been the focus of Eima International, and it's key for the future of agriculture. Another question for the President. We've seen during the press conference that agricultural mechanization has grown at a world level. What's the situation of Africa? This is a wonderful question. I'd like to ask you to thank you very much for asking. Africa has a huge potential. We've been talking about the development of Africa for many years. It is complex, a challenging continent, but we need to remember that Africa holds only 2% of the world agricultural machinery fleet. So there's 98% yet to be covered. Talking about Africa, of course, there are different countries and different situations. Some countries can be approached more easily, and so we can envisage a faster and easier development on account of the easier political situations, or certain governments are aware they have to invest more money on agriculture if they want to produce more and better quality crops. But there are more complex and challenging countries, situations with conflicts and ongoing wars that are really very hard to approach. But there's a huge potential, there's a lot to be done. We have to adopt a system approach. I think we can obtain considerable results in the next few years. For instance, North Africa, thinking about Morocco and Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria. So we could increase our sales by 5 to 6% in some of these countries. So it's an extremely interesting continent. There's a lot of work to be done. A question for myself. Eima is a growing exhibition. Are you planning to expand the Bologna Trade Fair District? Certainly, there's a huge growth potential for Eima. We saw that in 2022 with amazing figures, and we have a very promising outlook for 2024. So there's a great potential for further growth. From this viewpoint, the Bologna Trade Fair District is being expanded, and between 2026 and 2028 we'll have 2 new halls, one replacing an obsolete one which is still being used on a fairground, and another that will be completely new. Of course, the fair district will be redesigned with 2 main entrances instead of one, in order to make it easier for visitors to enjoy the experience. In fact, the Trade Fair District will be expanded and made more accessible. And the car parks that are, of course, extremely so important. They contribute to making a visit to the exhibition more enjoyable. This is a key point for us. So hopefully, starting in 2026, we'll have more spaces for you and better logistics, meeting your needs and the needs of the very many visitors coming to Bologna. Another question for Mariateresa. The increase in prices of agricultural machines is determined by the cost of raw materials. After the peaks reached in 21 and 22, is the commodity market going back to normal? This is another very important point. And all manufacturers are wondering about the future, what's going to happen in the future. I can say that the commodity market seems to have stabilized over the last year. As regards the energy raw materials, we've gone back to pre-pandemic levels. There's been a 20% increase in energy costs. As regards the costs of other raw materials, we've seen some changes. The situation is certainly more stable. We do hope that the situation can remain unchanged, or that we can see further reductions in costs. Situations tend to change very quickly. We had the Suez Channel issue, and so it's a very critical circumstance because transport costs had stabilized and now over the last 15 days, unfortunately, transport costs seem to be soaring. I'm confident. I think we've touched or we've reached the peak already, and of course companies have taken measures to cope with that. So I do hope the situation remains stable. And there's a question for myself. We've long been talking about the fact that Eima and the Simona in Paris are being held in very close dates. So thank you. Do you have any comments on this? Thank you very much. Well, the scheduling issue. You certainly know that FederUnacoma's policy has always been that of safeguarding the interests of the industry at large. It's not a war, it is not a conflict between two different trade fair organizations. It's not just Eima's interest or the Paris event at stake, but the discontent. We're going to damage our industry by having a conflict there. We never wanted to pursue such a conflict. Of course, the dates are very close to one another. We try to spread them out and separate the dates compared to the dates announced originally. If I'm not wrong, there are 2 weeks apart. They are 2 weeks apart between Eima and the Simona in Paris. So they're not overlapping because, of course, overlapping on the same dates would have been very undesirable, would be a damage for the whole sector. They're very close to one another, however, and from the organizational and logistic viewpoint, that's a problem, even in terms of costs to be borne in attending both exhibitions. So that's an open issue. We have scheduled Eima International as an exhibition that doesn't necessarily have to be in competition with any other initiatives. We want to be seen as unique, as diversification is a must for us. We are showcasing products and manufacturers that serve agriculture all over the world. Another question for the President. One of the political problems in Italy concerns the revision and inspection of agricultural machinery. Well, we are working on it within our federation. We know that the problem affects both users and manufacturers, so we are very much on top of the problem. We are following it with great interest, and we do hope to be able to provide an update in the next few months. A question for myself about hospitality. It's been said that Eima offered a hospitality system for the different visitor targets. Can you give us some examples? Then, of course, I can. Thank you for the question. I can say that our target visitors are treated with particular care. We've tried to provide a targeted hospitality. It is our principle, the way we want to provide our hospitality. Let me give you some examples. For instance, hospitality offered to business operators. They can enjoy a special formula called the special guest formula, so they get easier terms in order to better enjoy the exhibition, and they can have their business meetings. They can enjoy a fast track so that they can have easier access and freedom of movement within the exhibition. And also I'm thinking about the journalists that tend to have a dedicated, they always have a dedicated press room. They can get multilingual information. They can get guided tours of the exhibition. And so we are trying to provide a targeted hospitality and then of course the general audience, our visitors, we offer special initiatives targeted to them so that all of them who during the day are on the fairgrounds working, they can enjoy the city of Bologna with initiatives and events to make the whole experience in Bologna more enjoyable for them. A final example I could provide concerns training. You certainly know that we created an area, the Eima desk, inside the Eima to welcome students from all levels and types of schools all the way to the university level. And we offer university lectures as well, so that an extremely important target audience for us, and we're offering dedicated options and initiatives. I can't see any additional questions coming up on the screen, so if there are no more questions from you, we'd like to thank you very much for joining us today and for your attention. We'd like to invite you once again to come to Bologna. This is the first opportunity for us to present Eima International 2024, but during the year we have scheduled more appointments, so see you back very soon. Thank you very much for your